The happiest couples aren't happy because they're lucky. It's because they practice healthy relationship habits that keep them connected, which means that even if you don't feel like you're a lucky person, you can also be a happy couple. Okay. It's really just getting into the habit of nurturing your relationship, not just sitting back and hoping that one day it'll be the right time to nurture your relationship. Your relationship actually needs consistent nurturing. Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I am back. I just had to take a little mini break because I was getting burned out. And if you are familiar with me and how I do things, I'm all about my well-being, your well-being. And so I just had to take a little of my own advice and just take a little mini break. But I am back and I'm so excited to be back here. And I'm going to be tackling a topic that was actually inspired by a recent conversation, actually multiple conversations that I've had with close friends as well as acquaintances. And I think that you will likely deeply resonate with what I'm going to share. And I'm hoping that it will help get you on the right foot to change your dynamic in your marriage for the better. Now, this especially will speak to you if you found yourself getting to that phase in your marriage where you feel like you're more like roommates and co-parents, and you know that you would like to switch things up and feel like you're a couple again, but you're also tired as hell. You don't have the energy. You feel like you don't have that motivation to change that. And so you're kind of living in this world where things are just moving along, nothing's that exciting, and you guys are just in a life full of responsibility. And if you're here, you're not alone. There are so many people in this situation. I've been here multiple times throughout my 11 years of marriage and nearly 14 years of being a parent. So don't get on yourself if you're in this position. I'm sure that if you talk to all your girlfriends, they will likely tell you that they've either been there or they are there, okay? But just because it's common doesn't mean that it has to be your norm, right? It doesn't mean that it's healthy either. Now, when it comes to how much your relationship has changed over time, over the different phases and stages that your marriage has gone through, from pre-kids to now being knee-deep in parenthood, I want to share with you what the differences are between what happy couples do and those that are not happy / disconnected, okay? The happiest couples aren't happy because they're lucky, right? It's because they practice healthy relationship habits that keep them connected, which means that even if you don't feel like you're a lucky person, you can also be a happy couple, okay? It's really just getting into the habit of nurturing your relationship, not just sitting back and dealing with all the serious stuff and hoping that one day it'll be the right time to nurture your relationship. Your relationship actually needs consistent nurturing. Now, that doesn't mean don't sleep and burn yourself out for the sake of helping your marriage succeed, okay? through the different stages, your marriage needs different things. I actually recorded an episode on that. And if you want to check it out, it's episode 213, the phases every marriage goes through and what each one needs. So go check that out. But today we're going to be focusing on healthy habits that your marriage needs throughout any phase. Just know that you can always do the light version when you don't have much energy or time, or things are just chaotic and stressful. And then you have the option to beef it up and do a more intense version of nurturing your marriage. Okay. Now, I want you to think back to the early days of your relationship, right? There was laughter. There were so many inside jokes. There's the little gestures like texting in the middle of the night just to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. The spontaneous dates, thinking of, oh, what can I do to make them happy? What can I do to surprise them, right? But somewhere along the way, between the diaper changes, being a soccer mom, and the endless things that just pile up, whether it's work or house stuff, that version of your marriage might feel like a distant memory. You're like, wow, that was really awesome. And where we're at right now, I don't know how we would do that, right? But here's the thing. Like I said, happy couples aren't just lucky. It's not that they're immune to the chaos of parenting or the stress of daily life. If I have learned anything over the past week where I spent several days with girlfriends that I have been friends with for over 2 decades, is that everyone is going through something, okay? We are not immune. Even people that you think are really strong, we're all going through something. We just might be better at hiding it, or we just might be more private about that and we consult less people. And so it's just not as known as other people might make it known, right? So if resilience and the ability to handle situations isn't the difference is that they've built small habits that keep their marriage in the forefront, that keep their connection alive, no matter what season they're in. There might be times where you might forget, but as soon as they recognize that they feel disconnected in their marriage, they're doing something about it. They're getting right back onto the horse, and they are able to recognize it sooner than others. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed and you're like, I have so much to do already. I don't know how I could fit in more. My marriage just is on hold right now. We just have to be this way because the kids need so much from us, or work needs so much from us, or the house, or family, whatever, right? I don't want you to confuse connection, meaning that it needs to be complicated, or that connection means that you have to have a ton of time and energy, okay? Oftentimes, the tiniest things, like the way you repair during conflict, the way you choose to infuse and integrate playfulness into your day, makes the biggest difference, right? So in today's episode, I'm going to share what happy couples do differently, why it works, and how you can start weaving in these practices into your own marriage, even if it feels like you're stuck in the roommate co-parenting phase right now, okay? So let's start with what couples do differently. Now, based on a recent article I read, these are the 4 things that happy couples are doing that are setting them up for success. They are showing their partner on a daily basis that their partner matters to them. They're doing this through being emotionally available, through check-ins, and being truly a source of support for their partner. And they're showing small gestures of love, from speaking their partner's love language to doing things to let their partner know, hey, I'm thinking of you. I remember you. I see you. I care about you. You matter to me. Okay. The second thing, playfulness and appreciation. So they're using laughter, light teasing, and gratitude to lighten the mood, but also help their partner feel seen and demonstrate that they feel so lucky and fortunate to have them in their life. The third is emotional safety, right? Without emotional safety, conflict will always go wrong, okay? Emotional safety means demonstrating that you are reliable, that there's respect, and that they don't need to be afraid of judgment for what they have to share and what they're going through and why they reacted in a way that maybe wasn't the best, right? So, really just giving their partner the benefit of the doubt and also being there for them in case they need someone to lean on. The fourth thing is repairing conflict in real time, right? That doesn't necessarily mean solving it right away, because sometimes that's not to your benefit. But this also doesn't mean taking days, weeks to talk things through, right? Like, take your time, obviously, so that you can come to the conversation with clarity and calm and compassion. But also, don't take too much time so that it feels like you're ignoring the issue and letting things fester and letting the disconnect and the gap between you grow. Okay? So this can be like, touching during conflict, whether it's holding hands or just having contact, your hand on their leg or whatever, a hug, or bringing forth this gentleness that says, hey, I'm here to work this through with you. I am not here to fight with you. I am here to talk about this, to hear your side, and truly come together as a team to work through things instead of feeling like, okay, let's put our fists up and see who wins this battle. Okay. Now, why do these habits matter? When we double down on these habits and we are consistent with them, this is what keeps emotional intimacy alive when life gets busy. Because what happens when we create habits, right? They become second nature. Just like you don't have to think about brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about making your tea or coffee. You don't have to think about getting ready for bed. It has just become a part of your life, a part of your routine. So you can think about doing these habits as your marriage hygiene. This is just what you need to do on a daily basis to get to where you want to go, which is maybe still being happily married when you're 80, when you're 90, right? Not feeling like, oh gosh, you roll over and you see them and you're like, you again, right? Or not having to wonder, are we going to make it, right? Are we going to survive parenthood together and still love each other and still like each other? So it keeps that emotional intimacy alive, which plays into physical intimacy, which also plays into how much you like each other. Emotional intimacy truly is the foundation of any healthy relationship. It also reinforces the idea of togetherness, the us in your marriage, right? The shared identity, the sense of you're in it together, the team feeling, the partnership. And lastly, couples who keep these rituals, these routines up, feel more satisfied long term compared to those who just coast in their marriage, where they're just going through life more passively. They're prioritizing other things ahead of their marriage and kind of just letting things happen as is, right? Where maybe this looks like you guys handle life, handle parenting, and then at bedtime, you're each doing your own things. Maybe you're in the same room, but you're on your individual devices or books, and there is no intersection of your downtime together, right? Maybe you're only interacting with each other when it comes to logistics or parenting. But if there is no interaction outside of those two realms in your life, then yeah, your marriage is going to take the brunt of that lack of action from you two. And it is from you too, right? But because I'm talking to you, I'm going to let you know that Yes, it does take two. However, it only takes one person to initiate this change. So if you're like, well, they're not doing anything, so why should I? I want you to challenge yourself and ask yourself, how much does my marriage mean to me? Am I willing to move my pride to the side and say, yeah, I could approach my marriage that way, where I'm just waiting for them to do something so that I can reciprocate because I put in so much already, and then say, no, my marriage actually means a lot to me. I care about the success of my marriage. I want us to do good. And so I'm willing to be the first person. I'm willing to put in the work and set the standard for my partner to meet me there so that we can set up a healthy routine, a healthy ritual that will set our marriage up for success so that we have each other's backs when the times get rough, so that we know we're there for each other because we never got disconnected in the first place. We are connected and we continue to stay connected. And so we become more resilient as a couple this way. But it does require you to move that pride to the side, acknowledge that you have that feeling, and say, okay, what's going to happen? I hit fast forward and I continue with this approach of, well, once they put in the work, then I will also put in the work. What will happen to your marriage if both of you are thinking that way, where he's like, well, she hasn't been doing much either, so I guess we're fine with how things are. But what if you're not fine, right? And then you hit fast forward, say 10, 15, 18 years, what will become of your marriage? What do you think your marriage will be like at that point if you continue coasting like this instead of being intentional about what's happening in your marriage today and every day going forward, right? I can tell you based on my clients what happens. You're going to feel like strangers. You're going to forget how to be together. You're going to forget how to talk to each other. Tough topics will be more difficult to bring up. Your conflict will escalate a lot faster and more intensely and last longer. So it will be harder and take longer to resolve them. Then the times that feel hard will feel more plentiful and out of balance compared to the times that feel good. And so your distant memory of being a happy couple will start to get drowned out by how things feel currently. And then you're going to start to question, are we meant to be together? Should we still be together? But what I'm telling you is if you build these habits and you continue following them so that they feel second nature, so that they're a part of your daily life, you won't have to feel that way. You won't have to question, are we really meant to be together? Because you guys are both investing in your marriage every single day, even if it's little small moments of flirting, even if it's small moments of connecting, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh, we have to go on a date every single day, or we have to go on a date every single week. I will tell you, as a marriage coach, 11 years married, 14 years together, we don't go on a date every week. Sometimes we don't even go on a date every month, okay? Is that by choice? No. That's just how life is right now because we're so busy and we don't have consistent and reliable childcare because we literally moved across the country so that we could stay close to our oldest son. But that's where we're at. And yet we both feel connected. So I don't want to hear, I don't have time, I don't have childcare. That's not a necessary thing to have for you to stay connected, for you to feel like a couple instead of just roommates and co-parents. Okay. So if you are in this position and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want this to change, here's how you can put these new routines and new habits into practice. Just start small. Okay. Literally. Anytime you try and make a big change, I'm sure you've noticed it doesn't work out well because you just revert back to how things were before. That's because you're taking on too big of a change. So start small, right? Send a loving text during the day. Say thank you more often. Initiate a hug. Just do something out of the ordinary. That's all you need to do to shake things up. Literally just doing one thing that's out of the ordinary. And then guess what? If you keep doing that one thing, it's going to become routine and it will become ordinary. And it's like one of those things where as soon as you get a taste for how your relationship feels when you feel connected, you're going to want more of that. You're going to want to maintain that. It's like that drug that you don't want to let go of, right? You become addicted to that. But it's a healthy addiction because it's supporting your marriage, it's supporting your family, it's contributing to your overall satisfaction to life, okay? Because good or bad, your marriage is the number one relationship that contributes to your feeling of being satisfied with your life. So if your marriage isn't going well, that explains why your life feels so shitty right now. So let's fix that, right? Another thing is bring back playfulness. Oh my gosh, it makes us so serious, right? It makes us so serious. So share more inside jokes. I can't tell you how often I'm sending reels or funny memes to my husband, and he's sending me Reddit things to laugh at. That creates moments of connection, things that we can come together and laugh about or be like, what in the hell? Right? It's creating novelty in the relationship. It's creating connection. Or you can watch a comedy together or reminisce about early days. Or you can play video games with the kids. Sometimes like we'll play video games as a family and that kind of brings out our youthfulness and competitiveness in a fun, healthy way. And it's just so nice to be like kids again, even amongst our kids, right? Because I really feel like the more we rush to grow up, the less lively we feel, right? So let's bring in more of that liveliness into our lives as a family, but also as a couple. Another thing is creating boundaries, right? Having those rules for how you engage when you're in conflict. Everybody can get along when things are going well, but how do you get along when things aren't going well? Can you set up those rules for engagement when you are in conflict? Can you do things like pause when things get too heated so that things don't continue to escalate? Can you agree that there should be no name calling, that there should be a base level of respect and defining what that means for both of you, right? Man, this is just an episode where I'm just going to be referring to a lot of previous episodes, but I also have an episode on how to fight the right way, right? So go check out episode 227. This is about how to fight fair, setting ground rules for conflict. Okay, so if that's something you struggle with, go check that out. Another thing that you can do to put these in practice is working on addressing things sooner rather than later. Now, I get that sometimes we might kind of dismiss things as like one-offs and feel like, oh, we can handle this, it's fine because we're busy. But the second you realize, oh, I'm actually not fine with this, talk about it, okay? Focus on having little smaller conversations rather than waiting for things to pile up and have a bigger conversation where you feel very emotionally charged about the issue and get easily upset about it. That leads you to a bigger conversation that can easily escalate. So focus on things like micro repairs, right? Instead of letting things fester, if you address things earlier on, then it's easier to keep the conversation lighter. It's easier to have a shorter conversation. But if you're piling on examples, as if you're keeping a whole filing cabinet of examples of how they have disrespected you or don't support you or don't care about you or how they're just prioritizing other things above your relationship, when you show up to the conversation with that file cabinet, and then you show up and then you realize, okay, I have enough evidence to properly have a conversation about this. That conversation is not going to go well. This is not a court case, right? Where you're trying to collect all this evidence and then be like, I'm going to bury you in all this evidence to show that the only truth is that you suck and you need to change, right? That is not helpful in your marriage. In fact, showing up with, 2 examples is better than showing up with 10 examples or even 5 examples. Why? Because you're going to nip it in the bud early on instead of letting your emotions get concentrated and let you stew in it to the point where there's nothing they can say, even if it's apologizing, for you to feel better because you have marinated so much in this feeling and your version of the truth of what was happening that you're going to be really reactive and you're going to get easily frustrated or upset. And the fact is that they can't change the past. So you might as well catch it sooner and be more proactive so that you can change the trajectory of your future. Okay? So little micro repairs, that's a lot easier to confront rather than having this big conversation anyway, right? So if your marriage feels heavy and serious all the time, and if you can't remember the last time you truly laughed together, where your cheeks started hurting, and conflict feels more like something you need to avoid instead of something safe to enter into, then I want you to choose one of these 4 habits and commit to doing it for 1 week and see what difference it makes. And then share your progress with your spouse at the end of the week, what you noticed, what you're trying, and then go from there. Okay? Connection is not about having big date nights or getaways. It's truly built on these daily emotional deposits into your love bank as a relationship. And as long as you continue doing that, your marriage will be just fine. Now, if your marriage is having trouble because you guys are lacking a specific skill, conflict resolution, or you're finding it difficult to get over something to even start doing this, like you have resentment, or you're having trouble working through something and it's holding you back from wanting to do these things, then book a call with me so that we can work through that, so you can feel willing and motivated to get on this track of building these habits and set your marriage up for success. Okay. Whether you're seeking one-on-one coaching or couples coaching, this is exactly what I help my clients with: working through resentment, working through conflict resolution issues, helping them become healthier communicators, helping them learn how to connect on a regular basis, even while raising kids, so that they can set their marriage up for success. Okay. So if that's something you're needing, book a clarity call with me. The link is in the show notes. And that's all I have for you today. So go invest in your marriage by doing these small daily things. Commit to one of the 4 habits. Do it for a solid week. Look back on it. Figure out what you've learned, what you're going to carry forward, what you're going to change, and start talking and connecting with your partner. Okay? That's truly all your marriage needs, is steady communication and consistent connection. Okay? Now, if you need help, reach out to me. Otherwise, if you have loved this episode, let me know what specifically you loved about this episode. Send me a message on Instagram. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Better yet, share the episode in your stories and tag me so I can shout you out. And if you love this show, I would so appreciate it if you would help me out by leaving a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen. That's what helps this show grow, and more people like you get the help that they need so that they can enjoy their marriage again. Okay? I appreciate you. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.